All right. Unlike Donald Trump's social media accounts, we are back. Welcome back to Three in the Key, brought to you by Fine Bet. Me and two of the coolest dudes in sports journalism break down the NBA from matchups to social media shade to fashion. I'm Daniel Tran, and here with me is Sandeep Chandok, kicking it in the Bay, and a special welcome back to Henry Curi, aka Henny Curi. Sandeep, how's everything going, man?
I mean, if we're talking about NBA, not so great. But outside of that, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I mean, we don't have COVID, so we are one up on a couple of NBA players, but we'll get to that pretty soon. Henry, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. I feel like a crazy week for everybody, including the NBA with everything going on. But, let's get straight to it because I got a lot to say myself, and I know you guys do too. So, yeah, but happy to, be healthy.
Okay, that's great. One person I can't say he's healthy, unfortunately, Markelle Fultz. My guy can't catch a break, man. I was rooting for this guy to win Most Improved Player this year, but now he tore an ACL, and he goes out averaging 12.9 points, 5.4 assists per game. And now he's going to have to miss the rest of the season. Put out a statement earlier this week saying, "Thank you for all the thoughts and prayers during this time. God has a plan for me, and I know that this adversity will only make me stronger in the end." I mean, adversity is a very light word to use with Fultz because, I mean, he went through that situation in Philly with his shoulder and everybody just crapping on him. And then Philly gives up on him, trades him to Magic, and he averages career highs across the board last season and looked every bit like the kid with potential that we thought he could be. But man, like this ACL, it's not really a career-ending injury. So I'm not really worried about him, missing years because of it. But Sandeep, do you think that he will continue to improve, or is this the level that we're just going to expect from Fultz now? 12 points, 5 assists a game.
I think he'll continue to improve, and the good thing for him is that he did secure that contract before the season started. So I'm really happy for him. Always secure the bag, for these athletes and for whatever you do, but he'll get better. Like you said, it's not a career-ending injury. It's not as bad as an Achilles, which can be harder to come back from. So, and he was taking strides this year. He late in the bubble last season, he was improving. His jump shot was slowly coming along. He's still got the athleticism when he's going to the rack, and he's a great finisher. So I think he'll come back stronger. And he's still only like 23, 24 years old. So He's got plenty of time to get better.
What do you think, Henry?
I mean, I feel bad, I'm rooting for Markelle Fultz. I feel like we all are at this point, but seeing this type of injury, of course, it's gruesome because it can be, pretty severe. We saw what happened to Spencer Dinwiddie, which was a partial ACL tear, but a full-on ACL tear can alter someone's career. We saw what happened with Derrick Rose, but hopefully it doesn't affect Markelle Fultz to that full extent because Markelle didn't fully rely on his athleticism. He was mainly a savvy player. He really used a lot of finesse in his game. So I feel like he'll bounce back really, really well, especially because the whole league is behind him. He signed a new contract, Sandeep's right. He secured the bag, which is great for him. But in terms of the Magic in their sense of an organization, they have Cole Anthony as a backup point guard. He showed, good flashes in the beginning of the season, what he's capable of. So they're not in the dirt completely as a team, but for Markelle, I just hope he can get back to who he is and who he was becoming, because honestly, after this season or seeing what he was, really rallying up with new career highs all over the board, it looked like he was going to be a perennial all-star for years to come, at least in my opinion. So hopefully, like I said, he can come back. And like I said, if we're all rooting for him. Like this was a good comeback story for him, from what happened in Philly, how they ruined his start in the NBA there, and he bounced back there himself. So all in all, hope he gets better, speedy recovery, and best wishes to Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, we're talking like Markelle Fultz. He went to the Orlando Magic and somehow found himself there, and nobody really expected it, to be honest with you. And this year Orlando, they moved to 6-2 before he got injured. That's pretty high up in the Eastern Conference right now. And before, like after the game after he went out, the Rockets, they just blew him out by 42 points. And right now, I mean, before the season, the Orlando Magic, they were slight underdogs to make the playoffs according to Sports Bet Dime. Henry, what do you think are their playoff chances without Fultz for the rest of the season?
At this point, I feel like they're gonna make the playoffs, but they're not gonna make noise in the playoffs because Markelle Fultz kind of became their centerpiece in terms of like who they run their offense through. Because Aaron Gordon can be pretty wavy himself, he can be here and there. There are other pieces like
Vucevic is still the guy.
Yeah, and Jonathan Isaac is injured, so they needed all their pieces in order to at least make it out the first round. Can I see them making it out the first round now? Probably not. And you know what? I'm not a Magic fan, but I was kind of hoping to see the Magic make some noise in the playoffs this year because I feel like it's been too long now to that the Orlando Magic were considered a contender in the East ever since the Dwight Howard days. But seeing them back on the map, it was great to see. It's great to see for the NBA. But in terms of being playoff contenders and making it out the first round of the East, at this point, I don't know if they can. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Sandeep, I don't know, man. Like I'm looking at this roster. They were pretty thin already. I mean, Vucevic is like their best player, and I don't know unless he turns into freaking Jokic. I don't know if he's gonna be able to carry that team. Sandeep, what do you think?
Yeah, and even if he does turn into Jokic, it's still not happening.
It's not enough. Nope.
They're missing their best defender, and Jonathan Isaac, like Henry mentioned. Fultz is, their second or third best player. Even with Gordon and Vucevic, it's not enough. Like, I love me some Cole Anthony, but the guy's just a rookie, and he's still like getting used to the NBA. And there's literally a quote from the coach Clifford said, he's like, "Yeah, Markelle told me after Wednesday's game that playing that 32 minutes that night was kind of tough, and so like he's still getting acclimated to the NBA. He's only like 8 games in. This team doesn't even have enough to make the playoffs."
Man, like you talked about Cole Anthony, he scored 15 points his first game out as a starter. Unfortunately, that was during like a complete blowout. So, Sandeep, like how well does he fit in with this team?
I mean, the good thing for him now is that that's the one side to Markelle Fultz going down is that they can give their rookie first round pick a bunch of playing time now for the rest of the season. And Cole Anthony was super hyped out coming out of high school. Went to North Carolina, which is obviously one of the blue blood programs in college basketball. So he's a good player. He's only 19 or 20 years old. He's super young. So it's going to be good for him to kind of learn how to play point guard in the NBA, which is the hardest position to play when you got so many guys, of top-notch talent at that position. So it's going to be a learning curve, but I think he could, who knows, because of the time he's going to get, he might put up enough numbers to, for sure, I think he could qualify for like a NBA rookie first team, second team at the worst. But if he balls out, like who knows, maybe he ends up taking that Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, and I mean, he has plenty of chances to ball out, especially if coronavirus is making its way through the NBA, right? I mean, we have the Sixers right now playing with 7 dudes on the floor, and it's like 7 dudes that you've never heard of. Ben Simmons is out, Embiid is out, and we have, diagnoses all over the place. I mean, we have Seth Curry that got pulled mid-game with a positive COVID test, and he took the test, they got the positive result, pulled him from the bench. My question is, how the heck did he even get to the bench? And what the heck is the protocol here where a player who has no test result can be in the arena? Seems pretty unsafe, Henry.
I feel like these leagues are just in desperation mode right now. It's sad to see because there's such easy steps to take. Like I don't think it takes the smartest person to realize if a test result has not come back yet, that person should probably not be on the floor, because what's up with them getting test results halfway through a game or right at the beginning of the game? And then, there's these positive tests. Exactly what you're talking about with Seth Curry. And then they let the Sixers they let the Nets play the next game, instead of contact tracing and keeping everybody quarantined. It's just like, I don't want the NBA to fall to what the NFL has succumbed to in terms of, if we have to play with 4 or 5 guys, 7 guys, and so be it, no, not so be it. So messed up. Like these players have families, the coaches are older too. Like they should probably, I don't know what Adam Silver's is thinking. I don't know if it's an owner's type of decision. Who do you guys really think is making these type of decisions, Adam Silver's or the owners?
I mean, it's got to be a joint decision, right? it's like it's a mixture of Adam Silver, the owners. They probably have a committee. They're talking to doctors and to scientists too. Which is why they have things set the way they do right now. I think with Seth, the reason he was sitting out that game was because he had an ankle injury, and then which is why he was still on the bench. So it's not like they already knew he was sick and then they left him out there. I think it was just because of the injury, and then they just happened to find out at some point. Well, I think they didn't find out until after the game, right? That he was actually positive the whole time when he was sitting on the bench. So they didn't really know. They played, I guess, the best he could, at least for them and for everyone else. He was wearing a mask, on the bench, which is at least, the good protocol about that. But I think it's going to be a joint decision moving forward. So far, the NBA's handled it well. They knew this was coming. Guys are going to get tested or, test positive, or if you're MPJ and don't wear a mask, then you're going to be for sure out for a couple of weeks. They're handling it the best way they can. Guys are going to be in and out of the lineup. It sucks for us because the quality of play goes down when you have guys like Embiid or Simmons, MPJ out of games, but we all knew this was coming.
I mean, you want to talk about Michael Porter Jr., dude? I mean, does he think that he still thinks that COVID is being used as an agenda pusher to control the population?
Sources say he was at the rally or at Capitol Hill.
No, yeah.
I'm just playing. That is not true.
Yeah, like that's fake news. That is fake news. Not true. Okay, but I mean, the dude has been in COVID protocol since last Thursday, and he will be indefinitely in there, according to an announcement made yesterday. I mean, before this, MPJ was averaging 19.5 points this season. He posted 30 points and 10 rebounds the game before he was placed in the protocol. I mean,
dude, I'm hella mad. I got him in 2 of my fantasy leagues, and he's just like out for like a couple weeks now.
Dude, Henry, what did this guy do to be put in purgatory for that long of a time?
I mean, not all players are gonna follow protocol like to its full extent, and these are the consequences that we see. Aside from MPJ, it's just so weird with everything going on right now with COVID and the players. Like, didn't Jonas Valanciunas, he like tested positive halfway through the game?
His wasn't a positive. His was that like contact tracing. So
yeah,
he'll be out for like maybe like a few days.
Okay, well, in terms of MPJ, I feel bad for the fantasy owners. Sandeep, I know like he was in your fantasy lineup, right?
Yeah, we say fantasy managers, by the way. We don't use the term owners no more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, there's just so many implications beyond the court. Like fantasy owners and stuff like that. Like even like a real implication too is like just playing 2K. For 2K players, there's gonna be players in and out of the lineup because they keep that all live updated and stuff. So it just goes to show how real all of these implications are going to be to so many other aspects beyond just playing the game, affecting like I said, fantasy managers or whatever you called it. And just I don't know, like I'm very mind boggled with everything going on. Like Dan, what do you think about all of this going on right now, especially with MPJ?
Well, I mean, with MPJ specifically, it's just the guy that like he didn't really think about COVID as seriously as everybody else did last year, right? So it's like we know that he probably wasn't taking it as seriously this year if history kind of repeats itself. But I mean, I'm looking at the situation from the outside looking in, so I don't know, but it just seems like the sports world in general, it's like even with the vaccine, like vaccine's not going to be available for a while, but they just keep pushing and pushing. And it's like at some point, I feel like the NBA has to kind of take the lead and shut down at some point if things get out of control. And I think Adam Silver and the owners kind of know that there's a lot of money on the line, but I mean, last year they shut down completely. So I feel like they're not quite under the gun yet, but if it gets out of control, we might see them pull and like lose some games, maybe. I don't know at this point. But my question to you both is, at this point, do you think if the NBA does not require players to get vaccinated, will MPJ opt out? Sandeep, you first.
Well, I saw a report too that there's actually like a lot of players that don't want to get the vaccine because they're just kind of iffy about it right now, and then with side effects too that could linger. But that means there's also some players that are probably open to taking it. I think it'll become available to them soon. Honestly, I don't see the league shutting down again. Like you said, there's too much money on the line. I think for them, just keeping the season going and having as long as guys are like even if it's the next man up and the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th guy playing in the starting game, like we saw with the Sixers today in the starting lineup, at least it's something better than shutting down, right? They're going to have games, and like Lucas said before the season started, whichever team is the healthiest and takes this the most seriously is the one that's going to win the most games. So we'll keep an eye and see which teams have more COVID related issues as opposed to those who don't. So MPJ, like, dude, just first of all, your coach already don't like you because you don't play no defense. So just put your damn mask on, stay home, and get your ass back in the lineup, bro. Come on.
Hey, he was balling though. He was balling.
Yeah, he was balling.
Yeah, for a stretch
on the offensive end.
Yeah, but there's no justification.
What?
Yeah, you're right. The offense.
No, but availability.
Yeah.
but real quick to you guys, Dan, I like that you brought up the possibility of maybe shutting down the season again if things get out of control. What would be crossing the line for you guys? That like at that point you would say personally, like, I think we should shut down the season. Like, what's the line that would be crossed that like that would make you guys think like that?
I feel like if a whole team got it, like that would.
I mean, we're seeing with the Sixers, man. The Sixers.
I mean, doesn't have a team.
Line with them, man.
Doesn't have a team. Tyrese Maxey balled out for me.
Tyrese Maxey's balling more than 30 points.
I mean, yeah, he went off. Well, I mean, so we have Maxey, like, holding it down for the Sixers, but I'm actually pretty excited for some slate of games next week. Even without Jason Tatum, I'm still looking forward to the Heat going against the Celtics because Jimmy Butler's in his bag again, and I'm not talking about his balling ability. I'm talking about his ability to call out his teammates. The guy went off on his teammates again for not playing hard against the Celtics, even this past week. And, we'll see if they listen to him or not in this upcoming game. Celtics are currently third in the East. Jaylen Brown's actually holding it down for them too, 26.3 points a game, leading the way. My question to you guys is this: Jimmy Butler, would you want to play with him, Sandeep?
Hell yeah. Guy's a winner. Like, a guy's a dog. Am I going to be working out at 3 a.m. like him? Probably not, but he's going to push everyone in practice. He wants to bring out the best in guys. He'll bring out the competition and that Mamba mentality in guys, and that's the type of guy you want to be around because he's the reason that the Miami Heat finals this year in their season. He went to the Heat because of that work ethic they have, that culture they have of, hard nose. They grind it out each and every day. Ain't no breaks, no days off, none of that. That's the type of guy you want to play with, as opposed to a guy like a James Harden, as talented as he is he's like after the practice, after game, he's like, "Hey, you trying to hit the strip club?" Jimmy Butler, hey, let's go hit the weight room. Let's go lift. And
I know, Henry, you're a big Celtics guy. Without Jason Tatum, how do you think that they will keep up with the Heat? A Heat team that probably would be very motivated to beat them after Jimmy Butler called them out.
Well, this is going to hurt because I think Jason Tatum is in quarantine for like 10 to 14 days. That was the report. So yeah. Obviously, slate of games that the Celtics are going to have to deal with without Jason Tatum. But the good thing about Brad Stevens' system is that he doesn't fully run the offense through Jason Tatum. He does have, weapons like Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. And my favorite guy right now, Peyton Pritchard, man, I've been telling people that he is going to be the steal of the draft. And so far, thankfully, he's been proving me right because he's in there playing valuable minutes when Kemba Walker is out filling that hole. And it kind of makes me question, like, is he ready to take that starting role from Kemba? Because Kemba became a liability, at least in my opinion, at least for a bit. I know he's going to strengthen the team when he comes back, but this game against the Miami Heat, obviously Jimmy Butler, I would not mess with that man. I don't think anybody would. So he's coming now, for revenge against the Celtics. Especially, we see that either his team crumbles when he goes off of them or they step up. The Timberwolves crumbled, like when Jimmy Butler went off on them, like on practice and stuff. But this Miami Heat team is different. They've been to the NBA Finals together, so they have that pedigree with each other. They have a lot of love and chemistry with each other that they'll hear each other out. And if he needs to call players out, then he'll do it. And I feel like this team is willing to listen. So that makes it a little scary for the Celtics, especially without Jason Tatum. But with Jaylen Brown at the helm and Marcus Smart especially, with the rising Peyton Pritchard, I don't see why there's another possibility why the Celtics can't win. But obviously it's going to hurt without Jason Tatum. But like I said, don't sleep on Peyton.
Man, shout out to Pac-12 basketball, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sleep on that conference. So the next game I'm actually looking forward to and I never thought I would be looking forward to this team's game. But the Nets versus the Knicks, guys. I don't know if you know this, but the Knicks are actually in playoff position. They're in a better position than the Nets are right now.
They're
are
balling.
The days, dude? They're balling, man. And it's like I'm kind of asking myself, are the days of just pooing on the Nets over? Because I'm looking at Julius Randle, and he's spinning his way to 22.6 points per game, 12 rebounds, and 7.6 assists. That is crazy. Now that I think about it, especially with where this Knicks team was last year. So Sandeep, I kind of want to ask you, who will be ruling in New York basketball by the end of the season? Will it be the Knicks or will it be the Nets?
Okay, look, the Knicks are playing. You know, I know it's not something we say all the time, and if they can make the playoffs, that'd be sick. But come on, we're talking by end of the year. We know which.
Yeah, I don't think the Knicks are gonna hold up that much.
That's for my team to come out of the East. So, it's still gonna be the Nets, but it is good to see the Nets or the Knicks taking strides. They are somewhat relevant.
The thing with the Nets, though, I don't know if Durant can stay healthy for the whole year, and if he does, they'll probably manage him a little bit. Kyrie Irving is just one of the most chaotic NBA players I think I've ever seen. Karis LeVert can't really carry that team. They might be without those two stars throughout the year. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's actually pretty possible within the reason, within that realm, because there's just so much that can go wrong, as we've seen throughout the rest of the NBA, that I think that the Knicks are in actually a really good position if they can stay COVID free and they continue to listen to Tibbs. That I think that they have a chance to be ahead of the Nets if they get hit with a bunch of stuff. Henry, you watch the Eastern Conference because of the Celtics. What do you think about this New York Knicks team and where they're at?
I mean, like you, I love seeing it because the Knicks are finally relevant again. It's been a while, and just seeing Knicks basketball on the map, like the Orlando Magic, it brings me back to, your childhood and stuff like that, growing up when you were 12, 13 years old, seeing those teams balling. But seeing that the other day when Austin Rivers was, scored 14 straight, I did not expect that at all. But seeing that, it kind of made me happy because it brought me back to, I remember when Austin Rivers was playing against the Blazers for the Clippers in the playoffs a few years ago, and his eye was bleeding and everything. I'm like, this guy has a lot of heart. He's just not in the best position. Once he lands, a team that fits his style and can get him going, then I feel like he found out with the Knicks, he got it going. And plus Julius Randle right now is playing high level basketball, career level basketball, and also makes me happy because just seeing him break his leg in his rookie debut, I'm like, this guy has a long way to go in his career. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But now doing all this for the Knicks under Tom Thibodeau, I don't think they're gonna hold up for the rest of the year. And then, on top of the Nets, it's not a crazy idea, but I wish him the best. And Dan got me hyped for the Knicks now.
Hey,
I'm a great salesman, man. I'm a great salesman when it comes to the Knicks.
Hey, we got to give credit to Steve Nash, who after 8 games made the move to start Jared Allen, because DeAndre Jordan is terrible.
DeAndre Jordan is just not in it right now.
So I'm not concerned about KD staying healthy. He's been healthy so far. He had this COVID scare and he had to miss a week of hoops, but we saw what he's looking like before he took the 1 week off. He's looking like the KD pre-injury. He might sit out back-to-backs. That's fine. That was expected. Kyrie, I mean, sitting out for personal reasons. Everyone thinks it was related to what happened this past week, with the riots over there in DC. And it's if that's bothering you, who am I to tell you, bro, you're tripping. If you don't feel like playing, I guess, you shouldn't. But if you're healthy, you should be in the damn lineup. That's what you get paid to do, bro. If you're going to sit out for reasons like that, unless it's a family emergency or something, which is obviously completely understandable. If I'm on a team, I'm telling him, hey, if you're missing games for non-health or family reasons, you're not getting paid for that game. I don't know what to tell you, because we pay you to play basketball and you got to be on the court. Like I said, best ability is availability. So this team has title contention hopes, but they have to build chemistry. They got to get better defensively, because that's been one of their biggest weaknesses so far. So which is why I pointed out the Jared Allen move, because they need him in the starting lineup. He's their best rim protector, maybe even their best all-around defender. But they gotta have those guys on the court as much as they can if they want to compete in the East.
Yeah, and I have a proposal for all of the Knicks and Nets games for the rest of the year. I think it should be all Tims, exclusively Tims on the court. So now then we'll really know who the real ballers are. All right. All right. That's it, folks. This episode of 3 in the Key is over. Thank you for listening, and be sure to look at our work on finebet.com. We'll see you next week.